think we're going to start, and I'm going to turn this over to the well-traveled, well-versed Mr. Mark Laurie.
What an introduction. Tommy, we're rolling. Did you get that introduction on TV too? My God, that's great. Because I will play that 1,000 times so that everybody can remember that and listen to it. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to our pre-board meeting agenda. We welcome you. Of course, we always begin meetings. It's kind of the good luck charm to say, good evening, Mrs. Macri. Your son once again looks stunning in a charcoal gray suit with a blue shirt and a matching tie. So good evening, Mrs. Macri. On a more serious note, I just want to talk about for a second how exciting it is to see all of the projects throughout our schools, including Gaskill today, Mr. Zimmerman, Black History presentations, videos. Student a day at Niagara Falls High School produced a video, and I'm not going to start naming them all, but I'm really proud of that. We're walking into women's history, so that comes in the month of March. I also want to just begin by sending our thoughts, condolences, and prayers to Father Mahar at Niagara University on the tragic loss of their student this week. I know we've been in touch with him and how difficult that is. So to the young man's family, our Niagara Falls District thoughts and prayers and well wishes, and to Father Mahar and the entire Niagara University campus. We're behind you, as well as to the Roy Hart campus, who lost a 7th grader this week. And it's a tough thing. It's a real tough thing, but it really puts what we do into good perspective. This is important work, but we can never forget those that we tragically lose. So our thoughts to the entire Roy Hart School District as well. On a different and maybe happier note, at this time of the year, I kick off birthday week, and my Mardi Gras is over. But boy, we go on a run of birthdays. We start next week with the man who attended a one-room schoolhouse, Mr. Massaro, and then we go all the way. We go all the way to your district clerk and Miss Carrie Buckman, who attended full buildings with lots of floors and lots of activities and lots of teachers. So we take the alpha and the omega in terms of birthdays, and we wish you a good week next week. So thank you very much.
Did you have a good birthday?
Mr. Bilson, thank you for asking. I had an absolutely outstanding birthday, and I am 1 year from the speed limit on the thruway. That's how I look at it. Not the speed limit in Ohio, the speed limit on the thruways in New York State.
Not the Autobahn?
Not the Autobahn, not how fast you drive.
Oh, please.
Not how fast you drive. We will tell that story someday. We have a good story.
Maybe on your final retirement.
We will tell the story of Mr. Bilson's driving with me talking to him. So.
Is there a statute? Yeah, there's a statute.
There's a statute of limitation. It ends July 1st. All right, let's get on to important stuff. We have both an obligation and a requirement, as well as a good practice of putting together a technology learning plan. That technology learning plan must be submitted to the state. I want to congratulate Ray in Western New York, Ray had the first plan submitted and approved of all the Western New York districts. I would expect nothing different from him, but Ray didn't do it alone. Ray did it with a team that meets every other Thursday, and they do guiding practices in both software and hardware, and he's got a couple of special guests here this evening. But this technology plan, like any plan, is a fluid document. If we're not pulling it out every couple of months and looking at it, if we're not using it to see are we on the roadmap and then adjusting it, it's just something you'd put in the cloud and let it sit there until it's up again. That's not the intention of our technology plan. The intention is to use it as a guiding document for our technology committee, which I know they do. Now, here's the good news and the bad news. The bad news is the plan is 90 pages long. The good news is we are not spending 5 minutes on every page. We are going to move smartly and quickly through the plan. That indication isn't to tell you that we're skipping over anything. You can read the full text if you need to, and Ray could answer all of the questions. So Ray, first of all, thank you for your leadership in technology, the good work you do. It's grown to be about an $18 million part of our annual budget, maybe more. It's an important learning tool for our students. Technology will never replace the teacher, in my opinion. We'll talk about that in a minute. But technology is a learning tool that can be the great equalizer for kids. And if we don't embrace the coming trends of technology, our kids will be at a disadvantage, and that's not what we're about. So, Ray, take it away, and if you start 5 minutes on every page, I'm going to blow the whistle.
Thank you very much. First, I would like to introduce and thank my tech partners. This was a challenge, but it was also very interesting and a lot of fun. I enjoyed talking technology with Kim Maynard and Ed Maynard, and we put together a plan. It's a lot, and it's very comfortable. And you may, during this, find that I'm going to say the word a lot, even so much that I've asked Julie maybe to keep track of how many times I say a lot. But the general theme of it is a lot. What I'd like to do is just talk briefly about some context for the plan, and then we'll kind of get into it. We worked hard trying to make, because it's a lot, is to make sense, because it's difficult with technology. Technology can be confusing in general, and how we have to run, every public school district in New York State has to run technology. It's another layer that may not be a commonplace thought. But we worked hard, hopefully, to present it in a manner that it makes sense. Superintendent mentioned it's a work in progress. We could have a conversation today where we're changing, adding to page 92 possibly. That's just the nature of technology. It can be defined in three kind of manners. It's a plan. It's certainly, you'll see there's a lot of to-dos. What you'll also see is a reference document. And thirdly, what you'll see is a guide for direction. And lastly, before I get into it, this graphic that you're looking at now really is the best form of a context. It's an instructional foundation. It's a section 2 of this plan. It's the section that was mostly owned by Ed and Kim and Technology Committee and myself. And then the section 3 is all about operational administration. And the way the plan was defined, we kind of had this concept, this thought, and then the picture, just to remind us that we have to get to that handshake that you see above. So getting into the plan, there are a bunch of table of contents here that can lead you to the 90 pages. The first section, we're calling it kind of introductions, a little more than the context that I talked about, but it's good reference material. That is a part of the template of the plan. I'll pause quickly on the acknowledgements because the Technology Committee in Niagara Falls, since day one when I started 28 years ago here, the Technology Committee, it's a wonderful group, cross-section of district people. It's not Ray in room 106 in central office. It's not administrators. It's not teachers. It's a cross-section of everyone to get to really the best possible spot. Collaboration is the other piece that we have. It's just not the city of Niagara Falls. It's a collaborative effort that we give and take from the organizations that you see. And if you choose, this is the definition of an executive summary. When you're looking at this document, if you want to go to one spot to get a summary, here's your executive summary. I'm not going to read a lot of this stuff. Overall impact kind of emphasizes, again, what we're after with these bubble statements, professional learning network structure, and then in the middle, this is just a little more detailed piece than the first graphic that I showed you. The vision and the mission is applicable to what the district is. I'd like to pause now and introduce Ed and ask him, section 2 is really the instructional foundation. And again, Kim, and the Technology Committee in general own this piece. And I hope you see the depth and how much this is.
All right, good evening, everybody.
Hi, Ed.
Like I said, I'll try to make this as quick as possible. All right, so like Ray showed you the very first picture, there's really two components to this entire plan. The instructional foundation, which I'm going to go over. This is the next like 30 pages of the document. And then Ray basically takes the last 60 pages of the document with all the operational administration stuff, all the behind the scenes stuff that really makes everything kind of go round. So when you talk about instructional, so I'm talking mainly about the classroom, this little diagram right here in front of you is pretty much kind of, you know, how the whole plan came together. We thought about what part or what particular plans do we already have that we can draw in from to make this plan really just explode. So we looked at our district comprehensive improvement plan, which I believe you guys have already been presented on. We looked at the New York State K-12 computer science and digital fluency standards. And then we also looked at our own instructional technology plan that we already submitted to New York State for approval. So we took those three plans and we kind of had to merge all three of those plans into one to create this plan that you see in front of you called the Comprehensive Technology Plan. Because it's really all three of those things combined into one huge document, all right? So out of the comprehensive plan, we said, well, you know, we've got 90 pages here. We need something that's going to guide our teachers and guide our classrooms to really make this all make sense. Okay, so as a teacher, how am I going to look at this big document and make this make sense to my students? So we came up with these 5 domains, in Niagara Falls City School District, 5 domains. So each of those domains are going to act as a framework for us so that we know how our teachers will need improvement, what our teachers need improvement on, how can we improve them, and then come back to it, you know, maybe in 3 years later and create more agenda items that we can start focusing in on. So domain 1, and I'll just kind of scroll through here. Here's each of the 5 domains a little bit bigger for you. Domain 1, we're talking about equitable access to devices and digital learning. Domain 2, we're talking about safe and ethical use of artificial intelligence. We'll get into each of these a little bit deeper. Domain 3, we're going to talk about data-driven instruction, which should be in the forefront of every classroom in this entire district. You know, using our data, we spend a lot of money on our programs to collect data on students. We want to use that data to the best of our ability so that our kids can have the best shot down the road. Domain 4, we're talking about professional leadership capacity, so how we're going to train our teachers in the new waves. And then domain 5, cross-cutting alignment, so we're talking about cybersecurity and data privacy. All right, so those are our 5 domains. These, again, are the 5, our framework that in which we are going to strive to improve on every year. So domain 1, getting into about the equitable access. So we're talking about all of our devices that we're using, all right? And we take a lot of pride in that the devices that we chose for our students are the most appropriate per age group. We really felt as though over the last year that when you talk about a pre-K kid and putting them on a laptop and having them type in www.whatever, or if you save a file and go to your file manager and have to pull up a document and so on and so forth, that's really difficult for a kindergarten kid. So we changed our way of thinking, and that's why we went with the iPads, and that's what we were here the last time to present about. So we said that, you know, we really take a lot of pride in that we created, or we have age-appropriate devices for the kids. All right, so iPads for our younger guys, and then laptops as they get a little bit older. All right, and that's really what domain 1 is all about. So what we did was we took the standards, we took the New York State standards, and that's what you see here in front of you, and I'm not going to bore you by reading any of them, but we took the 34 New York State standards and we correlated them to our DSIP plan, and we came up with this table right here. So this is actually how the Niagara Falls School Districts aligns to the New York State standards and what we do here. This next table in front of you, and I'm not going to do this for every single page, but this next table here is basically how we actually are implementing it in this particular plan. All right, so what platforms we're using, what devices we're using, and so on. And then we get into our core learning management system, so our actual pieces of software that we use, everything from PowerSchool to Clever to Schoology and Microsoft products. And then our universal access tools, so what tools in particular do we use and for what purpose? All right, so that's just domain 1. Those are all about devices. Domain 2, we're going to get into safe and ethical use of artificial intelligence. So right away when we say AI, people's eyes and ears, everybody kind of perks up a little bit when we talk about AI and what artificial intelligence really is. And maybe some of you are familiar with the movie The Terminator, and you know, and are we there yet? And this is the start of it all. In another 20 years, we have the Terminator thing going on here. All right. So, you know, we can take one of 2 views on this, and I want to thank Mr. Laurie for leading us on this, because he came out 2 years ago saying, we've got to get into artificial intelligence, we've got to get out into artificial intelligence. So, that being said, We really want to dive into it a little bit deeper. We want to start using the tools as teachers first, all right, and then start to instruct our kids how to properly use artificial intelligence. All right, and I always use the analogy of building a fence around the pool. All right, yeah, swimming coach. All right, but building a fence around the pool, but you know, if you don't teach the kids how to swim, they're going to figure out a way to get around that fence, under that fence, over that fence, fall in the pool and drown. So it's our job as teachers, as professional educators, to teach our kids the proper way to swim, or in this case, the proper way to use artificial intelligence. All right, and if we just put up a fence and say we're not going to do this, you know, and we want to just put up that fence and put up that wall, again, those kids are going to find a way around it, and they're going to get themselves in a lot of trouble. All right, so shame on us for not teaching them the proper way of using this. All right, so that's what Domain 2 is all about here, safe and ethical use, and you can see that it's aligned with New York State standards here. All right, so we have the credibility of New York State backing us up. This is how we're implementing it into our technology plan. We purchased a product called Magic School AI. We just rolled it out to the high school teachers about a week or two ago, and it was received very, very well. We're going to be moving into the elementary school teachers in March 19th will be our next day where we roll it out with the teachers. There is a teacher side of that program and a student side. We figured for the rest of this year, let's just get our teachers used to it, let's get our teachers comfortable with it, and then we'll talk about how we're going to bring it into the student world. All right, so that's where you see it here in the comprehensive technology plan, like how we're going to actually implement it. And then artificial intelligence, and we talk about Magic School AI, we talk about Microsoft Copilot, and so on and so forth within administration. Domain 3 is a big one, but Domain 3 is all about data-driven instruction, and it's not just about the products that we use to test our kids. It's also about again, not just the products we give our kids, but also the products that our teachers can use so that we can assess our kids in that moment of time. I think it's very, very important as a teacher that we know when I'm teaching a concept, I'm able to give a kid a question immediately and get immediate feedback, collect data on students, and that way I know, as a teacher, I can figure out, all right, I need to steer my instruction and go this way right now. Because most of the time what we do is we plow through a curriculum, we plow through instruction, and then we get to those tests on Friday and go, oh man, these kids they got a 40. I got to go back and reteach for the last 2 weeks. We don't want that practice. We want to know right there, right then, in that moment of time, that I can fix that problem. And if we can, then the learning will just move forward that much quicker. All right, so that's what Domain 3 is all about, is using data to inform our instruction. All right, so again, we align it with New York State standards. That's what you see right here in front of us. The next page talks about all the platforms that we have, early warning integration systems that we have, and then now some new tools such as Go Think Tech that we just kicked off over the last, well, we're running a little pilot right now at Abbott Elementary School. And Go Think Tech is a great tool that we use to collect that data right there in real time so that we can guide instruction. All right, and then on this page here, you'll see a whole bunch of software. All right, a whole bunch of software. All right, everything that we have, and some of this is pre-K, some of this is K, some of this is high school, but it's all in there, and all the descriptions of what each of these are there for you to read at your leisure. All right, Domain 4 is mainly all about professional learning and professional development, all right? And that should be in the forefront. We always have to get better, all right? They always say that, if you take a doctor from 1900 and you put him into, into a surgery room, they're not gonna know the first place to start with all the new technology that's in the room. But if you take a teacher from 1900 and you put them in the classroom in the year 2000, they're gonna just pick right up where they left off. It's up to us to keep advancing and using that technology so that we bring more validity, not just to this program or this plan, but to our own profession. All right, we don't want to be stuck in the 1900s. So professional learning is also part of the New York State standards for digital fluency. This is how we're implementing it inside of our technology plan. Again, feel free to read it at your leisure. And then we also purchased a new program called Frontline PLM that's going to monitor our teachers and what programs they take and moving forward. This table right here is kind of a biggie. This is the, right now, no, I can't really highlight, but this table right here is pretty much going to show you our focus over the next 3 years, what tools we're really going to be focusing on for the next 3 years, all in one table. So everything from Schoology, Magic School AI, our Apple devices, Microsoft, accessibility features, Go Think Tech, and possibly schooling, school wires, those kinds of things. All right, so it's all kind of in one little table of what we're going to be looking at for the next 3 years in developing. And lastly, and I'm not trying to shortcut this guy, but cross-cutting alignment and cybersecurity. All right, we do this all the time with our teachers. We have phishing, emails that go on all the time, whether it's teachers, administrators, whatever else, and we always have to make sure that we're covering our bases on that too. All right, so again, that's all in the New York State standards. These are all things we have to be teaching our kids. All right, here's how we're implemented into our plan, and then the products that we're using to, everything from Law 2D to any kind of content filtering like iBoss and whatever else. All right.
Good job, Ed. I want to just ask you one question, and I wanted to stress one thing. I think it was in domain 3, where you listed all the software packages.
Yes.
That's why we're constantly harping on our district. There you go. I call it the highway. We have to stay on the highway. If anyone goes off of this highway, we open up ourselves to phishing, to hacking, to everything else. These are instructional approved programs. This is what the committee, everyone is approved. So it's got everything for everybody. I call that the information highway that teachers must stay on, and it's always reviewed and changed. I think it's really important to keep us protected when we stay there. My question for a brief answer would be, because I'm sure you could talk a long time about this. You came here a year ago and you talked about the introduction of iPads to our youngest children. I think you remember that. I think the board members touched them and played with them. How is it going?
I think it's going very well. I mean, we are, again, we're changing a culture here, so it's going to be some time, but we're making advances. Our students are using the products. We're using the iPads every day on a daily basis. There's been some pushback, but not a lot. That's just like anything else. We can't get 100% buy-in from everybody. But for the most part, I've been very, very pleased. Apple is very pleased with how we're doing. They've come in, they've walked around, they've been to classrooms, they've been to buildings. They think we're actually farther along than most buildings are, or most districts are at this stage in the game. So I was pretty happy about that. But I think we're definitely on the right track for sure.
Thank you.
Sure. All right. So those are our 5 domains. Again, these are the 5 district frameworks that we're going off of. And then we basically talk about, now this is where the plan, and this is, as a coach, again, as a coach, you always got to come up with a game plan, all right? And this is our game plan. I mean, everything that I've been reading so far, right now we've kind of laid out what the framework has to be, and then now here's how we support the framework. Here's how we support our game plan. We provide technology integration, all right? And technology integration comes in a lot of different looks. We have technology integrators such as myself and my wife. We also employ a couple of BOCES technology integrators. The instructional coaches are also out in the field as well. And we provide what's called embedded professional development. That means we actually go right into the classrooms and we help them implement those tools right there. Instead of giving a professional development with 75 people in the room and saying, good luck, you're on your own, that's where we come into play. And that's where embedded professional development definitely goes a lot farther. All right, so this page right here is basically talking mostly about what a professional or what technology integration really kind of looks like. All right, and again, you get more buy-in from your teachers and we get more success and more bang for our buck with this kind of a model in place. So now, when it comes time to professional development for our teachers, we have 3 models. The first model is embedded professional development that I just got done saying, where the coaches and tech integrators will go right inside the classroom and develop these tools with our teachers. Model number 2 is they can access the Teacher Resource Center, where we offer classes and technology and everything else from book studies to whatever else. But we offer a lot of, I was supposed to teach a class here tonight, but I was here last night till 6 o'clock teaching a class on iPads through the TRC. And then model number 3 is our district professional development days. All right, so those are our 3 models in which our teachers will get and receive this instruction. And we also have some supporting structures here, like we said, about with our BOCES integrators and whatnot. All right. Moving on, this next product right here, I've got to be very careful the way I present this. So I want to be very careful in how I say this. So we thought we need, okay, so if the plan is underway, here's our game plan, here's how it's running, how are we evaluating it? And I use that word evaluation very, very carefully. This page right here it's like a scoring rubric, what we would use in the classroom as a scoring rubric. But what we did is we aligned what we're trying to get across in this plan with something called the Danielson rubric. And the Danielson rubric is the tool that we use to evaluate our teachers. So this is not an actual tool, this is just a suggested piece of equipment, a suggested tool that teachers and administrators can use together to see where they're at as far as their level of technology proficiency. If they're distinguished, if they're proficient, developing, or beginning. And then some sample examples that are in there. So if an administrator wanted to print this off, just for some look-fors and some look-ats kind of thing when they go through the classroom, this is all about domain 1 right here. This would be all about domain 2 right here, domain 3, and domain 4. And again, these are already aligned to the Danielson rubric. I've already talked with our union president. He has given his stamp of approval on this as well. He doesn't see any problem with this because, again, this is already a tool that we use for our teachers. All right? So now we're just giving it more of the technology focus. And then again with domain 5. So now that that tool has been utilized, a teacher then can use this tool to reflect on their own abilities. So this is a lot of I can statements, which our teachers are very familiar with in learning targets. So these are basically self-reflection checklists. I can teach students to use digital tools. And then here's the Danielson component over here of how they're being evaluated anyways. But this is, again, more for a teacher, look at myself in my own practice. So there's domain questions, domain 2 questions, domain 3 questions, domain 4, and domain 5. And then based on those answers, and the page before, then the teacher can now come into here, and this is a menu of professional developments that we have on just technology of which domain. So if I'm weakest on domain 1, I can use this little menu right here and start selecting. Here's how many hours that course is. Here's how that course is being taught. If I'm weak on iPads, here's the iPad block, so this is everything that we do with iPads. There's domain 1. Here's Magic School AI, so here's all of our training on AI.
That's really good.
Domain 3, domain 4, and domain 5. All right, so with the plan, we have the plan. This is how it rolls out. This is how the administrators look for it. This is what the teachers, how they kind of evaluate themselves on it as well. This is the menu on how they can get themselves better. And then just the last little bit on my part is just this is how we monitor students. We already talked about data-driven instruction, so I'm just going to kind of fly over that a little bit. And then lastly, about parental communication and community relations. So we have some district wills, we have some teacher wills, so this is how we pretty much communicate and collaborate with the district and with our parents and with the community, all right? And so we kind of all laid it out here and how technology is used to do all those kinds of tasks. All right? Everything from the website to Mr. Lori's all-call at 5 o'clock every night that's on my voicemail every night.
I've got a 4 on that. Go ahead.
So, all right. That's it for the instructional foundation parts. This is how we do things around the classroom. The last little bit of this is all of Ray's, and I'm going to bring him back up here to the microphone. Well, unless anybody has any questions for me. This is thrilling stuff.
I really like how you laid out 5 domains, did activities, supports, evaluations, and self-reflections, all under 5 domains.
Right.
I think it is very congruent. It's very tied to curriculum. It's not something that's an add-on. I think it's a really congruent document is really what I keep thinking when I hear you present it. So I think that's really good.
We really came to the realization last night that if Ray, Ed, and Kim were to disappear tonight for whatever reason, you find this document and go here to the next person,
Right.
and they can just take this thing and run.
Right.
So,
And that document shouldn't just sit on a shelf. It should be every couple of weeks at the technology committee, we should be looking at it and seeing what we're doing.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thanks. All right.
So I think I'll be relatively quick. I want to talk about the operational administration components. This, I hope you see a handshake, because there's absolutely some content that you'll see in here that is a required handshake with some of the stuff that Ed just spoke about. It'll be technical and a little more technical in nature probably. So here's just some pointing of where I'm going to be headed. It's appendix-based because it really does belong in an appendix, kind of a ways to look for information, reference documents, things of that nature. So these are the SMART goals and action statements for a part of our instructional technology plan that the superintendent talked about. I just want to focus a little bit on SMART goals 3 and 4 quickly. I'm not making you dizzy, but I'm not going to read all this stuff. SMART goal 3 really is about compliance-driven cybersecurity protocols, and this is a lot of technical information, to-dos, actual things that we just can take and do. So it's narrative in nature and can be a checklist type activity. SMART Goal 4 is about a robust, high-speed, reliable network, because we have lots and lots of things going. They have to be able to run on a secure and robust network. So this list that you're looking at more is a really kind of a plan to-do list. Skip by to a couple other things. Ed mentioned a few, more than a few pieces of software and linked them very well with instructional activity. This is a mandated part of Education Law 2D that we have to provide along with some of the things that Ed talked about. There has to be a lot of other type of components, things like things that Ed talked about for sure. Then you have to get into data integrations, procurement, backups, where we house agreements and things of that nature for instructional software and administrative software. Moving kind of quickly, this I'm going to go by, there's 4 or so items related to equipment distribution, and this is really like, laying down popcorn to try to find stuff. It'll either be a direct reflection, a direct reference document, or it'll give you information to go find out more information that you need. So this list just basically talks about what technology, it's a distribution list, what staff, what classrooms, and what they get. This is a basic list, as the superintendent had mentioned. It's a living document, and this will always be changing. Coming into this, I am absolutely not going to try to get through this as fast as I can, but this is all the items based on equipment that we have in our school. So I'll just kind of stop the Catskill. I'll just kind of go a little slowly about this is all the equipment that resides behind this is everything that history, when it was imaged, if it was broke, when it was purchased, all the procurement information. You can make business decisions based on this inventory, and I'm very happy that I can make confident business decisions by referencing what we have.
You may have remembered an audit I talked about where we got a finding that said this lives in here and our other inventory lives in a different place.
Yes.
And they said, and I think somebody said, well, just buy a stapler. Remember this? Remember this? That was a finding. You don't have he didn't just make this up.
No.
We had it here. Julie's got the other inventory, but it's not stapled together. So now I'm going to staple this to the other inventory, and that's how we'll solve the audit. I mean, it's great, Ray. It's just incredible how much we have.
Quickly, the replacement and maintenance history. This is kind of, someone can reference this, skip by. I always kept it going, but what this list will show you what we bought, what funding source we did, and it's a great reference list. Like this year, when we're targeting what we need to buy, which I'll get to in a second, we can reference these documents and again make informed business decisions. Quickly, this is our timeline for replacement for the next 3 fiscal years. This is, I just really like this coordination of final resources. I look over at my friends from the financial perspective. We use the appropriate buckets of funding and meld it together, and we're able to buy things with the best possible aid, reimbursements. It's just a wonderful document that helps us stay on the right track so we're spending money in the best possible way. District policies are in place. What we need to work on, Ms. Massaro and I have been looking at it, is updated staff AUPs. Education law 2D practices, there's practical exercises. This just, I'll kind of go through this. The practical exercises are the things that we have in place. It's all the way from password lengths to multi-factor. This is my favorite because no piece of software, I can say this very confidently, was able to run unless it gets by this guy, which is an app locker. And that has helped us keep things in order. I'm going to scroll by all this. It's really just really great reference information. This is from a practical perspective. These are the regulatory things, which the focus is on education law 2D. This is the graph that we have to be holding to, and we are in good stead here. There's always something to do, though. Kind of spin through this quickly. Thank you to the HR department for helping us with annual employee training, all these things. Well, not quite lastly, but we do have a disaster recovery plan, which is something that is super important. The disaster recovery plan used to be the main document in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s. If this building gets blown up, I go to a secure location, break glass to get it, and it lists all the things that we have to do so we can run payroll, we can do other things. It's updated yearly, so it's I hope we never get here for sure. But
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah, it's there if we need it. This is just some things about, from an administrative staffing perspective, what is deployed and employed by kind of the administration staff. Just an organizational chart from operational. Again, we're in section 3, which is operational perspective. And then lastly, it's the work in progress. It's a safety and security protocols. I didn't feel comfortable. It's just not proxy cards and security cameras. That's what we used to be. It's way more than that. So this is on our technology committee a couple times a year. We revisit this document, and I want to give this section the time it needs so that it's a definitely more mature and a better representation of all the things we're doing from a technology, safety, and security standpoint that affects a lot of departments, just not IS, just not maintenance, just not Chief Del Porto. So I want to get that group together and be able to represent that as best as possible. And we're at page 90.
So the plan's pretty comprehensive. It has everything in there. It is available for anybody to review. It will not sit on the shelf. I wanted to conclude with a decision that we made this week that we want you to know about, we want the public to know about, and that is, and buried in one of those pages, you saw what we bought in 2016, 17, 18, 19. We have to keep our technology cycle going. If we don't keep up with it, or if we kick it down the road, we're going to fall behind. So, coming into next year, and we're going to show you in 2 minutes the budget. It's a tough budget year. To add a major purchase of computers that we need to do in the budget would widen the gap. But we can't afford not to do it. So, what we have is a pot of money called Smart Schools Bond Act. It was probably 12 years, I don't know, 12, 14 years. We received $8.8 million at the original time. We have used the money down to $2.83 million. The money can only be used for two things: security and technology. We feel, in a security mode, we are in good shape with our capital projects, so we don't need to use it for security. In order to not impact the general fund budget, but to keep the flow and cycle of computers going, we're going to access that $2.8 million, and we are going to, because these are now 5 years old, we lease our equipment on 5-year cycles. We don't own any of the equipment, we lease it. But even 5 years ago, what we have in certain places, and of course, K-2 got it last year with the new iPads. What is up this year are two major purchases out of that Smart Schools bond money. One is grades 7 and 8. We're going to focus on new computers for grades 7 and 8 next year. That way we have very new products from pre-K to 8. It's important because in those grades there's New York State testing, and New York State testing is done on the computer. We want to make sure our kids have the best computers in grades, at least 3 through 8, but we're K to 8. It doesn't mean high school is not getting good stuff. They are going to have one more year. I would strongly urge the following year, 9 through 12 be looked at. In addition to that, the technology or laptops that all of the teachers are now using are 5 years old, and we'd like to use that Smart Schools Bond Act money to purchase new computers for all members of our teaching staff. So as we come into next year, we're able to work through the budget, access smart schools, purchase new computers for all 7th and 8th graders and all teachers, with the next year, all high school students. That will cost us to the point where we'll have about $1 million left for the following year's purchase, and it will keep us on a good cycle of not kicking the actual hardware down the road too far. So that's the plan. That's where we're going, and I think it's the right time to use the smart schools money. It's been sitting there for 12 years. We don't need it for tech. We don't need it for security. We need it, and it's already been approved. To get this money approved could take months. The computer money has already been approved. So that's how we're going to keep the cycle going and fortify giving our kids the best that they can have. We can use that vehicle. The reason I'm suggesting that we don't use it is A, we've got that smart schools money there. You can't double dip. Yeah, we asked the question, you can't double dip. If we made a purchase through BOCES, remember, we'd have to lay the money out in 1 year and get it back the next. Yeah, but that would increase this budget gap $2 million. Yeah, so, and you can't double dip. So we asked the question because I think you're right. I wish you were right, but that's not allowable. But it's a good question nonetheless. Yes, Russ? Yep. 2 million. Right. Right.
Can we pay the 400,000 smart schools money?
No, you can't mesh the money. You can't mesh the money. If we, yes, yes, it would. It would. I will have to ask you to use $2 million more of reserve money. If you would prefer to get our budget gap up to 10 million, that would be fine. No, I know what you're saying. We've got to, am I saying this right, Julie? I'm happy to do that, but I'm not sure, based on the security that we have, what we're ever going to use that $2.8 million for.
I mean, I think we should look at spending $2 million and get 1.6 back. And if you get 75 cents, 80 cents on the dollar,
Yeah.
smart schools could all use 2 years off the road. Does it expire?
No, there's no expiration date on it. We can have the conversation. Just realize, I'm happy to do that. Your gap will be, you'll be taking 10 million of reserves, 10 million of reserves. Your bond rating will be affected. When you have to do a ban in December, right? Your bond rating will be affected, and your fiscal stability report will be affected. So, I'm willing to do it. My thought was I don't want to. We have an A. We should have an A+ bond rating, but we have an A bond rating that will be affected. And when you get the fiscal stability report, it will be published that this is a district in fiscal stress. Julie? So it's fine. It's fine. Those were the factors that I considered when I said let's use it. Julie, does BOCES add a surcharge on that too, or Ray? So remember BOCES too. You'll get it back. You will also be paying, is it Arwada?
$30,000 of fees.
You'll be getting fees put on that you can't get back. Is it 80% on technology or?
It depends. I mean, we would have to look at that too. I would want to make sure we got the exact percentage because not always everything is 80% or exact. So we would have to look into that. And I know a few years ago we did something similar and we weren't allowed to mix funding streams.
Right.
So we were just cognizant of that, looking into that.
Yeah, we can. I'll show you the budget next. I worry about those factors going forward, eating up reserves getting a fiscal stability report that you'll probably lower your bond rating a notch or two when you have to borrow money, and I think we will, and you will be a financially unstable district. But we'll be happy to look at it. Yeah, it makes sense what you're saying. It's just a little. That's what I was just going to say, Nick. If the gap wasn't where it was, I would definitely go there. That was my worry. You could do half. You could do half. You could do half. Yeah. Right, we could talk about that. The point is, it's a good conversation. We've had it. The point is, we have to keep the cycle going, right? We can't stop the cycle. Right. We got to buy the computers. Yeah. I'm going to show you a statistic in a minute about BOCES and how the rates are just skyrocketing in BOCES. The Arwada, they're just, BOCES is going to work itself out of business in a district like ours very soon when I show you what the rates are. So we will revisit that. If you don't mind, I'd like to revisit that in light of the next presentation. Okay? That's the budget. Good? All right. Thanks, Ray. We'd like you to go through pages 46 through 81 again. I think
detail.
In detail. We'd like you to read those pages. Thanks, Ray.
Thank you.
That is, oh, sorry.
Yes, sir, sorry.
I think Mr. Maynard, I don't want to speak for you. I don't think Mr. Maynard or Mrs. Maynard or any of the other trainers would ever care if you sat in on one of those presentations. We'll put out the listing of them, and if you want to go to one of those classes, you don't care. Yeah, we'll open it up to you if you'd like to join. I'll make sure the invitation gets sent out. All right?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very kind of you.
Bilson, not too many questions in there.
By the way, I have to say, she may get mad at me by putting her on the spot. I was distracted at how amazing her hair looks. I'm not even kidding you. I turned from Jimmy talking about training. I got distracted, and I was like half listening.
I think that's a
The
really,
hair is on point.
I think it's a really good segue, if you don't mind, to get the budget.
I
up there.
definitely wasn't talking about
No,
yours.
I know you weren't talking about mine. You know, as I think a few of us, especially Mr. McLeod, can attest to, grass doesn't grow on a busy street. Thanks, Julie. Thanks a lot. Before we show you this budget.
And then that leads us into the budget.
Yeah. Before we show you this.
You don't have a haircut budget, right?
There is no haircut budget. Before we show you this budget, and Russ, I appreciate your comment. It was something, Julie, we went back and forth on for about 2 days. So it's really right on the mark. Before we do the budget, I just wanted to talk about a couple of governor's policies that are embedded in the budget that we are really lobbying hard for. One of them is on charter schools. We are lobbying hard for one of 3 things to happen to charter schools. There's bills in there about this. One of them is to eliminate one of the pathways. You can go through SUNY or you can go through the state. Another bill is in the legislature right now in the budget about capping the number of kids that can go to a charter school in your area. And the most interesting one, I think, about charter schools is to put, if somebody was going to propose one, put it to a local taxpayer vote. That's also a bill that's put forth. And I think those are all very interesting because of the transparency we have to have and that charter schools don't. Another interesting bill in this year's budget, why are we talking about bills in a budget? Because that's where they do policy. in New York State anyways. There is a opportunity to redeem claims against liquidated insurance companies with respect to Child Victims Act, which I think is a really good bill. There is also a bill in the budget that is with respect to zero-emission buses that I really like, and that bill says the local utility company must sign a verification that they have the infrastructure to provide the electricity for the buses. So I really like that bill. I remind you and to watch the governor's statement on the $1,700 per person tax voucher. I'm hoping that she says no to that. And in terms of other lobbying efforts we're doing, and I'm lobbying tomorrow in Buffalo, we're lobbying to give more money for kids, for exceptional kids who stay till 22 years of age. I think we talked about that last week. To increase the weighting from 1.4 to 1.6 for exceptional children. I think that those are really important things to our district. So those are the bills that we're kind of staying on with the budget. We do have our third of 6 budget presentations for you this evening. Julie, if you want, but before we do this, I want to put one slide up here. The first slide is the slide we went through last time. Remember this slide? This is the raising expenses and decreasing revenues, and the blue and green lines becoming further and further apart. I just want to reiterate that the governor's foundation aid formula using a CPI of 2.7 and sitting in 2 insurance meetings yesterday where the rates are going to increase 10% does not jive. It just does not jive. The other thing I wanted to say about this chart that you saw last week was that it is really going to get very difficult to maintain the closeness of those 2 lines. And again, you allocated $4.83 million of reserves. We believe in this year's budget for the first time we're going to use $3 million of those reserves. I want to say that all the time, so there's no, when Drescher and Malecki get here in October, there's no misunderstanding. We probably won't use about 1.8 of what was allocated, but we will use some of them. On the next slide, Julie did this, which I think is excellent. She can describe it.
Sure, so this is our property tax cap, which you're all familiar with. The presentation just looks different. So this time of year, we always have to present our property tax cap, and that is due in the portal to the state comptroller. And this basically computes the levy limit is $26,406,518. So that is the maximum amount the levy could be without needing a supermajority. And for us, that would equate to an increase in the tax levy of $577,529. If you scroll down just a little more, Ray, for the difference there. So that is what we could increase the tax levy. I don't believe there's any intention to do that, but that is what we could if we wanted to. So I will go in the portal and certify this. It can be, we can adjust, but that is what is due by March 1st, so we'll do that. And then the new piece is, this is really just incorporating, we're projecting out 5 years, and
Right.
we really just wanted to show that we plan to be in that same positive position where we will not need a supermajority. We will not need to override the levy.
Right. I think that's the important thing. Unless you override the levy in your upcoming years, you will not need a supermajority, which I think is good. Another piece of legislation that we're railing against is there has to come a time when negative tax caps come into play. They have not changed that. The good news for this board is if you stay below those thresholds in the ensuing years, you will not need a supermajority. So this is not something that needs approval. This is just the calculation that we used to show that the 2% tax cap is really 2.2%. The 2% tax cap next year is really 3.4%. So it's a misnomer again to say that the tax cap is 2% because of all the ingredients you put in the sauce. So we wanted to make you aware of that, which I think is pretty good news. And as Julie said, raising the tax cap levy 2.2% will only get you about $577,000. Personally, I don't think it's worth it, but again, that's a board decision. Finally, here is our most recent budget. If you can, thank you. Your name is Mary? Yes, sir. Thank you. I have one. I have it memorized. No, I don't. Just a couple of points here, and I'll have Julie take us through it. Let's start on the revenue side. The anything indicated in orange is a change from the 12th of February. Utility tax and Medicaid, Jewel.
Yes, so we do monthly reconciliations, and our utility tax and our Medicaid continue to come in, exceeding our budgeted amounts. We believe that trend will continue, so we do feel comfortable increasing our budget by about $100,000 on the revenue side. And so if you scroll down, you'll see that our new projected revenue is $203,508,952, an increase of about $100,000 since the prior meeting.
Which is a good thing. Mm-hmm. When you move to the other side, I hope, that with one exception that we just found out yesterday, I think that we've thought of everything that could be, God bless you, everything that could be an expenditure increase. Mm-hmm. We have one last thing to add, about a $78,000 add that we need to do, but we'll bring that in next week. But this is really getting pretty close. Remember, if you could scroll up, Ray. Remember, the bottom line is, what is the number the voters are going to approve? We're getting closer and closer on that number of 211. That's why it's really important to make sure we have this side completely in good shape. So, Julie, will you talk a little bit about the orange?
Sure. So the first change, we have a change here, custodians to cafeteria budget. So this that we're presenting is the general fund budget. The cafeteria budget, we just vote on in June. But we do have fund balance in the cafeteria, and we are able to allocate a portion of the custodians to the cafeteria fund for the portion of their day they do spend in the cafeteria. So we are recommending moving those salaries to the cafeteria fund, taking them out of general fund for about $200,000. And then the next line we have here is breakage. We refer to it as breakage when you have a retirement, so a step 17 teacher, and then a teacher coming in at a lower step. So since we've completed projections, we have had about 6 or 7 additional retirements, so that is reflective of the breakage that will be realized on those positions. So maintaining the position, but just reflecting the difference in salary. Also here, we went through all of our summer work, and we are comfortable taking out some Schedule B and per diem days for professional development. Nothing that was mandatory summer work, but just some additional work, and we are comfortable removing that as it was one-time work in the prior year.
That is not programmed.
Correct.
That is not programmed. That's not the summer program, the summer camp. That is just work that people do over the summer that they need to get paid for. I'm pretty comfortable removing that.
And then the various contract increases, so we are going through all of our outside service contracts in the process of that, and some have come in lower than the estimated 4%. So we did decrease that amount about $40,000 from the last time we presented.
So that's a lower number.
Yes, that's a lower number. The BOCES, so again, we talked 2 weeks ago, we spoke about how BOCES, it's a large umbrella. Many services fall under there. So last week was reflective, the prior meeting was reflective of the special ed cost increases. We were estimating the BOCES administrative costs to increase 12%. The actual increase was 17%. So that is reflected. It was an additional about $80,000, I believe, we had to add to this line.
Yeah. That's why I'm saying BOCES is soon going to price themselves out of our ability to use them. A 17% administrative increase, 17%. And it has to come from the districts.
Right.
So, We do have students that are finishing their program in BOCES. We don't want to remove them. But as those administrative costs go up in BOCES, we have to take them on because they have no source of revenue other than the districts. It went from 8 to 12 to 17 in 1 year. So that's a huge, huge hit. Well, I think, yeah, well, I think we're going to have to really look at every kid, because we have so many programs within our district. And I also think, it's going to, first of all, they don't have any special ed spots. But it's, I told you last week, a special education spot at a BOCES student who gets speech and counseling is $68,000 a child. And we only get aid back on that child of $18,000. The first 50 is gone. We only get the, whatever it is, 30% on the 18,000.
Correct. So that first is our local share, really has to absorb that.
It's getting high. Russ? Pardon me? We can't. BOCES would have to hire them. We can do it instead of sending kids to BOCES. Yes, we can do it. That's what we're doing. That's why above, I think you'll see a line that says 4 additional special ed classrooms. That's why we're bringing them into our own district and not sending them to BOCES. That's why that's an increase there. Pardon me? These are new kids.
Right, and
These are new children.
And the 17% is really just the strictly, the BOCES, their admin, capital, and rental fees. So that
Right.
is that piece. The special ed piece was the 12%, but this 17% is the BOCES admin, capital, rental. So it's just something we have to pay.
They've added a lot of administrators, a lot of capital, and the districts have to pay for it. So,
Yes. Right.
well, Julie will look, but I can tell you, in December, we used to get a refund check. We used to get a refund check from BOCES, a big refund check. Up to the last 2 years, we haven't received a refund check.
That also, so right, the expenses are increasing, also our refund is declining, so,
It's more of a local decision. It's more of a local decision on BOCES. BOCES, has their own contract. They just settled contracts at BOCES, so they don't have money to pay those contracts. We have to pay those contracts. Not just we. Not just we, I mean the 12 other districts and us. So as they do that, and I'm not against their contracts, I'm just showing you the impact of it. So FICA module?
Yes.
Or TRS?
Yep, so the last 2 lines here that change are the TRS and the FICA Med, so those are the benefits. Those also decreased just as we decreased the breakage up there related. So as we see that savings in breakage, we would also see a decrease in the TRS and the FICA Med. So everything really was a decrease aside from the BOCES on that side. So we did work our expenses down about $800,000 to arrive at a final appropriation number as of today, as of the $211,115,337. And we are planning to use the $850,000 of debt service reserve. So as of today, our gap is about just over $6.7 million.
So, 2 things. Last week, not last week, on the 12th when we showed you, the gap was $7.5 million. We're down to, because we have to use that debt service money, we're down to $6.7 million. It looks like we're going the right way. We still have a lot of work to do. We're continuing to not touch people or programs, but it's starting to get harder and harder to lower that gap number. Hence the reason why we thought it would be a lot to ask you to put $2 million of computers in there. I think that 211 number is within 78,000 of the final number, if I'm calculating that right. I think that's getting really close to the final number, to about 80,000 to 100,000, and we'll be done. I want to go, just back up, Ray. Can you go, no, the other way, I'm sorry. I say up, you mean down. Keep going. But we have two jobs in the next 2 weeks for this budget. Job number one, see where it says foundation aid? That's based on an enrollment of last year. Our enrollment is beginning to decline. We have to make sure that our enrollment numbers match the enrollment numbers in the state so that we can be assured that that 5.3 million is what we get. If you look up where it says true up, we overestimated last year by 570,000. We have to true it up in this year's budget. So instead of having a true up next year, we want to make sure that we have every kid, every student counted so that that 5.3 doesn't need a true up next year. Did I say that right, Julie?
You did.
That's job number one for all of us. Job number two is to go to the other side and see if there are places that we can reduce in an effort to make that gap smaller and not use as much, ask you to use as much reserve money. Not ask you to raise taxes, not ask you to use as much reserve money. It is the tip of the yellow and the green and blue line getting farther and further apart. So that our job will be, because I think we have everything with one exception in here. And I don't want to talk in code. We have to do a major asset inventory. That's why I keep saying it. I know it's about $70,000. It's not included in the budget yet. It was the only thing I think we forgot. We have to do an asset inventory. We have to pay to do it. It'll be BOCES aidable, but we have to outlay the $70,000. That's the only thing I think that we've missed on week 3 of this budget presentation. So our work is to true up the enrollment and see if we have reductions on the other side in order to have that gaps, well, a little more, Ray, be reduced from that number. Because that becomes a very big number to start asking you to use even though we have reserves. And I believe our kids need everything that we have right now and more, but we also have to be fiscally responsive to the taxpayers and to the future. Julie, what do you think? Utilities, Jewel?
Electric is the major driver right now. Electric, but gas also, yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, the utility tax, the revenue? Yes, cell phone. I thought you meant the expense utility. The utility tax revenue is from the cell phones.
Right. If you go down again, Ray, I think that we heard, and Mr. Petrozzi joined us this week, our team. I think we heard two things that are pretty solid now. I believe, and we'll get this, he told us in 1 week, maybe 10 days. I believe that active health increase is going to come in at 10%. I'm pretty comfortable and confident after our meeting yesterday that that's what that's going to be. I think that number is pretty set. The other one that I think is pretty set after meeting this week is the general liability insurance. We estimated at 10%. Probably in 2 weeks, we can remove the word estimated and put 10%. I conclude with that because of what I said earlier. The governor is using 2.7% as an increase, and these necessary things, utilities, health insurance, are going up 10%, and utilities are going up 15%. 15%. So that is a one-page, our best thinking, accurate budget. Huh? Any other questions? Please question us, ask if you have anything, doesn't make sense. We'll do budget presentation 4. It should be the final number, and then the work to lower that gap really begins in earnest. It hasn't been. I really hope so. I really hope so. On March 16th, we'll get the one-house budgets. We'll get the Senate and the legislative budget. I know they're going to ask for more. I'm hoping. I think something that kind of hurts us is because you have always believed in and funded pre-K. And, you know, the 2.2 million is great, but I would rather have that in foundation aid, you know, as opposed to being locked into pre-K. And I think that, I'm not sure about that one, Mr. Velardo. I'm not sure if that's going to last because there's tremendous amount of pressure from 70% of the districts across the state that are held harmless are only getting a 1% increase. And I know they're fighting pretty hard to get more than one. I mean, we're not a hold harmless district. We're getting 2.83%, 3 point something percent. But the 70% of the districts, which is a big number, are really fighting to get more. I'm hopeful. The area of biggest concern for me right now is in that true up of foundation aid based on enrollment. And that's why it's so important that they look at the two areas of the funding formula. One, the index to educate in exceptional children has got to increase. That has to increase. And then they haven't increased the regional cost poverty index since 2007. Just think about that. They haven't changed that poverty index in 19 years. And unfortunately, I think poverty has increased in this area. So those are two things that that's the conversation we have when we talk to our legislators. We will keep you posted.
Thank you.
Julie, great. Marquesia, just superb job. You're welcome. Julie, above average. We have a very brief agenda review, and again, I am in no way trying to rush through this. I will tell you there are no changes in the resolutions. There are no changes in the short-term contracts. You do have that one policy to take off the table. That addresses Dacia's law. All of those resolutions are the same as what we spoke about back on the 12th. Thankfully, $621,000 worth of grants. Judy is well into election season. We do have some contracts that we're asking you to pay for, and those contracts that you're paying for tonight are coming out of grants. So they're not hitting the general fund, which is a good thing. The only adjustment I'll make before I call on Maria, Ray, if you could scroll to future items. On the 12th, we're going to talk about a tutoring program that has gone on in the community for the last 2 years. Just like Ray presented the technology plan, we are overdue to present the special education plan. There's the budget. And thank you, Judy, for entering those. And one addition on the 26th, we are going to have a presentation from the Buffalo Niagara Waterkeepers. Why? We have 34 students at Niagara Falls High School receiving 3 credits in a college class with the Buffalo Niagara Waterkeepers working on the environment. And they want to talk about what our 34 students are doing as a pathway at Niagara Falls High School. So we invited the students and their Buffalo Niagara Waterkeepers and I think Mrs. Maynard actually is teaching one of the classes still, and Mrs. Yacht's the other class. But we're going to add that on the 26th, and anything else that comes before you. Those 2 meetings, we're going to have to start to wind down that budget for your approval in April, Jewel? Yep, we're going to ask you to approve the budget in April. So we still have some time. We hope the budget is on time. Maria, would you like to, I almost had a high-pitched voice there. Maria, would you like to talk? Did you hear my voice go up for a second? I felt like that guy in the Brady Bunch when you remember that episode? Somebody, Judy? Time to change, somebody, yeah. My voice like went up an octave. It was, you remember that? My voice just went up an octave. No, it's, when you get to, when you have another birthday, your voice starts to change.
Yeah, that's what happens. I just wanted to mention, for the record, Mrs. Buckman and Mr. Massaro share a birthday. So.
Wow.
So I always found that to be just really fascinating, so.
Yeah, we'll be sure to celebrate Ms. Buckman. Yeah.
Well, a few decades, but. More than a few. So, you have in front of you your certificated report, which we sent to you earlier in the week, and you'll notice there were only just a couple of changes on that certificated report. The first one that you'll see is on page 3 of 10. We have a leave of absence of a special education teacher, and you see some, Mr. Laurie calls it Sudoku. It's Yukuru training. This is to assist us with our special education students. Moving on to page 5 of 10, that's work on differing schools' SEPs. So you'll see the addition of that work in addition to some Say Yes Saturday Academy teachers. And then on page 9 of 10, the Winterfest chaperones are listed under Schedule D. Does anybody have any questions about the changes to the certificated report? All right, next up is the classified report. We have one resignation on the first page. That's the resignation of an assistant child care associate. On the second page, we have the resignation of a food service helper, the provisional appointment of a director of facilities, who's wearing a nice suit tonight, and Mr. Laurie spoke to his mother earlier. We have the probationary appointment of special education classroom associate, and then on page 3 of 9, you'll see food service helper, porter, technology associate, safety officer, and assistant child care associate. Moving on to page 5 of 9, you'll see a significant number of staff members who are changing their status from probationary to permanent. These individuals have all been evaluated by their supervisors, recommended to Mr. Laurie, and Mr. Laurie is now recommending them to you to be permanent employees. Leaves of absence begin on page 7 of 9. And I think we do have some voluntary transfers you'll see on page 8 of 9. Does anybody have any questions about the classified report? Thank you.
Thanks, Maria. Two things. We will need an executive session at the conclusion of the voting meeting. I'll read the reasons for the executive session when the time comes. And number two, after we do our opening exercises, and as I started this meeting talking about Black History Month and all the things that the kids have been doing for Black History, we are going to have a famous in his own mind speaker talk about one of our very own Blaniva Bond, who you approved the renaming of a school in her honor. So I think that's apropos as we close Black History Month to remember it here at the board as well. And we've had some really great celebrations in our schools. And I think, Derek, you had one today. So, and this has gone on throughout the month of February. I would say this. I'm really proud of those celebrations. In my opinion, we have to do those every month and not just wait for 1 month to do those. And that is a charge I think that we need to take a better hold of going forward, even as we enter Women's History Month next month. So, Mr. President, members of the board, that's all I have for right now. I think you got a couple minutes.
Okay, everybody, we're going to get started now. Okay, first things first, I'd like to call for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Reflection, Mrs. Dunn.
Dear Lord, thank you for allowing us to meet again. Please guide our thoughts as decisions are made today for your glory. And as we reflect back on your many blessings, we have to say thank you. Amen.
Judy, roll call.
Happily. Mr. Bass, is Mr. Bass with us? Mr. Bass is remote.
Present.
Thank you. Mr. Billson?
Here.
Mr. Kinsemi? Mrs. Dunn? Mr. McLeod? Mr. Petrosi? Mr. Velardo? Mr. Pareto? And Ms. Carr is excused.
All right, so this is the part of the program. Welcome to the podium, please. Yes, please step on board. Kenny Hamilton, thank you. Thank you for coming. Wow.
My spoilers, but it was a war wound that happened just at the time that she presented those divorce papers to me. This is Black History Month, and I'm black. But it's about Bleneva Bond and the three wooden crosses. I just wonder how many people here in this room actually personally knew Bleneva Bond. Any of you? Just one? Two? Three? Great. I knew her very personally. She was, and I'll say it like this, and I'll just read my speech as quickly as I can without my glasses on. But the question that we should all ask ourselves is whose responsibility is it to carry out Black History Month across the finish line of life? My mother died when I was 7 years old. I was a child who was with her all of the time when she was alive. I was the kind of kid who, if she wasn't holding my hands, then she would have to come back and try to find out where in the world I am, because I was always a very curious person, and just, if you let me go, I'm going to go try to find and learn something. But I think that my mother was much like herself, like getting into things back in the days of the 1950s and early 60s, where too few black folks were brave enough to take on a stand. My mother was a community activist of sorts. She died at the age of 28. Though she died in the flesh, her spirit remained with me. But as Elton John sang in the Marilyn Monroe song, that it's a candle in the wind, and my mom was kind of like that. But then again, so was Bleneva Bond, and I knew her personally. When then, and whose spirit I can see and feel in flesh, when my mom died, I believe in the concept of spirits, and that these spirits never die. That is, until no one remembers that they were ever alive. And then, in whom I did feel and see as a manifestation of my mother after she had passed away, my mother left behind, and who was the one of those who took her place in my mind and in her community works. And it was Bleneva Bond, though Bleneva Bond was somewhat older than her. But they were pretty much of the same spirit. My mom's was in everybody's business. When my mom died, I was a middle child. I was always with her, so I was closer to her in more than one way than most of the other kids. I remember Bleneva Bond from when I was just a kid, and that a lot of people pretended that they liked her and that they loved her. But I know that they didn't, because they would whisper behind her back things. But it didn't matter, because she was on a course of success, even for those very same people. I didn't have a conversation one-on-one with Bleneva Bond, and I'm way off of what I had written, until about 6 months before she actually passed away. She knew me because, as introduced, I have a very high profile in the city. But we just never sat down and to discuss much of anything together. She represented to me the spirit of my mom, and in many ways, I am her son of Bleneva Bond. She had no children, but I was naturally doing the things that my mom would have been doing had I been alive, or she had been alive rather, and that Bleneva Bond was already doing. And so, the last time I spoke with Bleneva Bond, it was just a couple of months before she passed away. My father died in 1995 of Alzheimer's disease himself, and I went on the board of the Alzheimer's Board of Directors, and it was because that my dad had lost his life that way. And I sat in Bleneva Bond's living room, and listening to her stories, I would ask her a question, and she would digress and repeat the same thing that she had previously said. And I would laugh because she would laugh. And then she'd go on, and then she'd say the same thing that she just said. And we recited those things together. Bleneva Bond didn't do a whole bunch of great things in the city that lasted. It just didn't. All of these things were transient. With every new generation, some of the sand on the beach is washed back into the sea. And after a while, there's hardly any sand there at all. But the people in her time knew and loved her, and she worked very, very hard. I mean, here's a woman who graduated from college. Her husband was a chemist at the Hooker Company. And so they had nothing more to do than to just be leaders in the community, in a community that in many cases just didn't want leaders. And I could name you a whole bunch of others who thought they were in leadership roles. However, they weren't. One day I got a call from Frances Curtis. She calls me up and she says, Kenny, she's not doing well, and she's going to be one of the last people of that generation that I know. But she calls me up and she says, Kenny, she says, let's do something for Bleneva Bond. She says, I want to plant a tree for Bleneva Bond. I says, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. So we got Bill Bradbury and a couple other people together. The city wanted to give us a tree. And I said, no. We raised the money for that tree ourselves. This is our gift to Bleneva Bond and not the city's gift to Bleneva Bond. And we got that done. And because I don't want to take up too much time, the speech is longer, and I don't have my glasses on, so I can't much see it anyway. But we talk about Black history, and we wait for it to happen and someone else to do it. But we have to do those things ourselves. That Bleneva Bond tree sits right where they're doing that renovation to Hyde Park, which I don't know why they're doing it, but that's what they're doing. And if the trees grow right, that giant oak, you'll be able to see over the new landscaping that they're doing and be able to look at this great high school that we have. And we'll be discussing that at some time in the future, how great it is and ways of improving the education there. And we all went out and we celebrated that. After we did that, we went over to the Polish Nook and we had dinner. Carrie Mitchell, you all remember Carrie Mitchell, right? Carrie Mitchell says to me, I said to her, I says, you know, what Niagara Falls needs is another Bleneva Bond. And Carrie Mitchell looks at me and she says, Kenny, we look at you as being Harwood Bond. her husband, an enabler, someone who will go out and do the things and support what she's doing. I began to look back at what I call the spirit of my mother, the spirit of Bleneva Bond. She didn't have children of her own, but in a way she somewhat adopted me. I was probably one of the last people to sit in her living room and to try to understand the stories, where she's coming from, so that I can grasp her spirit even better and continue to do the things for my community that we need to have done. In my community, I'm a Vietnam War veteran, so it goes all the way from the Philippines to Turkey and throughout the rest of the world. And that's what I consider to have been my playground. I began to look, because of the spirit of Bleneva Bond, and my lost mother, who was much like Bleneva Bond. She was a force to be reckoned with. That I have to maintain that energy that they had. And I find that in many ways I have. Because that tree that Mrs. Curtis wanted to have done was one of the last things that I did for Bleneva Bond. We named a street in Niagara Falls after her, Bleneva Bond Street. It's the old 9th Street that goes between Depot and Garden Avenue. I wanted to take that further, but I'll just say it, Charlie Walker didn't want it. The only black guy we had up there didn't want the thing to go as far as that it was supposed to have gone. But we began to look at the community center was on 15th Street. Well, Black history now says that it is Aaron Griffin Way, who was an African American, who was the longest serving member, executive director of the Niagara Community Center, which has been destroyed, and again by somebody that looks like us. And then there was Prophet Lane, which was Lane Street, but Mrs. Prophet, how many of you knew Sylvia Prophet? Wonderful woman, very wonderful woman. Her husband was the first county legislator that we had, but back in those days they called it the Board of Supervisors. And so he was very prominent. He became the head of the Public Works and under the Lackey administration, and things didn't work out between him and Lackey. But what I'm saying is this. If we're going to talk about Black History Month, let us all be recognizing the fact that those of us who are melanated are Black Americans. And that Black Americans, African American Week or Black History Month is not contingent upon one's color, but upon their character, as Martin Luther King had said. In other words, if we want to celebrate Black history, we don't do it by just listening and reading about it. That we as Black people must go out and control our own destiny. And I see there are people here who are doing exactly that, to try to improve our own lot. I'm a Booker T. Washington type of a person, not a Frederick Douglass, but a Booker T. Washington. That we have to take responsibility for ourselves and for what we do. When we start to look at Bleneva Bond, what is printed about her will always be printed about her, but there is less and less and less and less and less who is going to remember her. And that we must encourage people, despite the color of their skin. What is Black History Month? A whole bunch of Black history was our relationship with whites. And when we have to understand that white people are a part of Black history, and we have to understand that we're all a part of all American history, and that we all have, especially us with melanated skin, the responsibility to walk the walk, that we are changing the lives of those who look most like us, who are most like us, who go through the things that we almost uniquely go through. in order to move the rest of us forward. We have to improve, and there's no doubt about it. I mean, I've done the statistics. The city of Niagara Falls has one of the greatest school system in the entire state. Upper 95% it used to be. I don't know if it's still there. But we have to find a way not only to increase the amount of students who recognize themselves that their progress is up to them, and we have to create those Bleneva bonds, those Harwood bonds, and those people who have made Black history here in Niagara Falls. And we're going to need your help. And quite frankly, we're going to need a better school system. We're going to have to begin to teach culture, teach to the culture of the kids that we have, because that's what Bleneva Bond was doing out at the community center, is to make them feel good enough about themselves that they want to move further ahead in their lives. And I think that if we all work together in doing this, the spirit of Bleneva Bond will be with us for generations and generations to come. Let's not just focus on looking at educational attainment, but we have to look and see how are our own lives impacting and increasing the needs of those that follow us. What kind of example are we setting that we can make sure that every generation, particularly of African Americans and other minorities in the city of Niagara Falls, catches up and become productive leadership? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to go to 301, oral communications. On agenda items, we have one speaker. That is Lawrence Blaber. Remind you, Mr. Blaber, you have 3 minutes.
My name is Lawrence Blaber Jr. of 38th Street, and I'll be speaking regarding the mental health hires that you guys are considering or approving. I'm a black father of a student with learning disability in the district, and I'm here regarding these investments in mental health, mainly because of my oldest. We have students with dyslexia. I'm sure most of you have heard of that. With dysgraphia, that's dyslexia, but with math. Dyscalculia is dyslexia with math. Dysgraphia is dyslexia, but affects writing. That's when you see backward E's and D's and stuff like that. And other learning disabilities. These kids are in the classroom about 6 hours a day, but they do not receive explicit evidence-based instruction tailored to how their brains work. Now, when a child does not receive proper reading instruction, what you're going to see is them struggling academically. You're going to see them performing tasks and getting frustrated because these tasks that they're given, they're not given tools. A kid with dyslexia looks at a word search and gets anxiety because it's absolute chaos in there. And you know, thinking a word search helps with grammar and stuff like that doesn't. So that stress becomes anxiety, and that anxiety escalates to hopelessness. Because yet again, they're in every class, they're trying their hardest, but they don't know what's going on, they don't understand, and then that leads to negative thoughts of suicide. You guys are approving these mental health counselors, and that's good. I'm always for mental health, but they will see these students often after this damage has been done. Years into this improper instruction and struggling and questioning why they're so dumb. They're not good enough. Maybe everybody'd be better without them. They're a pain, they're a burden. All those thoughts and ideas, after 2, 3, 4, 5 years, now they're seeing them. So do these health providers understand these learning disabilities that you're going to provide and the trauma that these kids will be coming in? Does the district acknowledge that the lack of evidence-based instruction is a predicator for mental health crisis for these learning disabilities? We have roughly over 530 students identified with learning disabilities, right? If a student shows signs of distress, is anyone asking whether they received proper instruction and accommodations, or is that distress simply labeled as bad behavior, rude, not trying? I just saw you do it the other day. You can do it. You're not working hard enough, right? Because we'll see it in kids, right? And real talk, you'll see the girls fade back and not be participate. You'll see a lot of boys, that's where you see the anger. That's where you see the fights. That's where you see the bullying. That's where you see the class clowning. Anything but dealing with the actual work. So my question is simply, how do we protect these students, especially priority to me, black students with disabilities, from the system that's supposed to educate them, but instead, through improper instruction, becomes a source of the very stress and anxiety that puts them at risk? And I want to be clear about something. I'm not just saying training and classes and all of that, because I have a personal philosophy that you can give a skinhead 1,000 hours of video on training to not believe those negative things. But if they 100% believe it, those videos don't help. So you have to start with a culture and belief about the importance of every child and their health. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, move on. 302, written communications.
None, sir.
Okay. Next is the recommended actions from the superintendent of schools, routine matters, taken together 401 and 402. 401 are the minutes from January 2026, and 402 is approval of the budget transfer. Number 7, may I have a motion? Mr. Consemi, Mr. McLeod. Under question. Judy?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay. 403, approval of bids. We have none. 404, the treasurer's report for January 2026, received and filed. 405, budget status reports from January 26, received and filed. 406, personnel report certificated. May I have a motion, please? Mr. McLeod, second, Mr. Kinsemi. Any questions? Judy?
Mr. Bass, I'm going to assume you're voting in the affirmative unless you indicate otherwise to me. Mr. Bilson?
Yes.
Mr. Kinsemi?
Yes.
Mrs. Dunn? Mr. McLeod? Mr. Petrosi? Mr. Velardo? And Mr. Pareto?
Yes. Okay. Moving on to 407, personnel report classified. May I have a motion? Mr. McLeod. Second, Mr. Velardo. Under question. Judy, please call the roll.
Mr. Bilson?
Yes.
Mr. Kinsemi? Yes. Mrs. Dunn? Mr. McLeod? Mr. Petrosi? Mr. Velardo? And Mr. Pareto?
Yes. Okay, we're going to take 408 and 409 together. 408 is the report from Committee on Special Education, and 409 is the report from the Committee on Preschool Special Education. May I have a motion? Mr. Kinsemi. Mr. McLeod, second. Any questions? Judy?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion carried. 410, short-term contracts. I'll read some of these. There are a few. Vibrant Strings, Lift Enrichment, Brian Rostansky, Physical Education Professional Development, She Drums, a Gray Area Company, Fight Night Boxing, She Drums, Kimberly Gingrich, Families Aimed Towards Excellence, Mini Books, She Drums, SPCA, the Buffalo Zoo, Theater Pony, Igra Shelzadi, Transformation Through Revitalization with Bishop Kevin Dobbs, and 17 is the New York State Association for Health. May I have a motion? Mr. Velardo, second Mr. Consemi. Any questions? Judy, please.
Mr. Bilson?
Yes.
Mr. Consemi? Mrs. Dunn? Mr. McLeod? Mr. Petrosi? Mr. Velardo? Mr. Pareto?
Yes. 411, January 2026 Head Start Report and Budget. Do I have a motion? Mr. McLeod. Mr. Bilson. Any questions? Judy, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion carried. Number 5, unfinished business. We have none. Number 1, new business. We're going to take 601 through 603. 601 is the approval of acceptance of funds from the Indian Education Grant. 602 is the acceptance of funds through Pathways and Technology. 603 is the approval of acceptance of funds from school-based mental health. May I have a motion, please? Mr. Velardo, Mr. McLeod, second. Any questions? Judy, please.
Mr. Bilson?
Yes.
Mr. Consemi? Mrs. Dunn? Mr. McLeod? Mr. Petrosi? Was that a yes, sir? Thank you.
Sorry, I called.
Mr. Velardo? Mr. Pareto?
Yes. Okay, we're going to take together 604 and 605. 604 is the approval of resolution regarding the statutory meeting. 605 is the approval of appointment of voting machine custodians. This is all for our election-related items for the up-and-coming May election. May I have a motion? Mr. Consemi? Mr. McLeod, second. Any questions? Judy, please.
Mr. Bilson?
Yes.
Mr. Consemi? Mrs. Dunn? Mr. McLeod? Mr. Petrosi? Mr. Velardo? Mr. Pareto?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on. 606 through 608, the approval of contract between the city school district and Melinda A. Scheim, psychologist. 407 is the approval of contract for consultant services with the district and Tel Consulting. 608, approval of contract between Say Yes of Buffalo and the city school district. May I have a motion, please? Mr. McLeod, second on Mr. Consemi. Any questions? Judy, please.
Mr. Bilson?
Yes.
Mr. Consemi? Mrs. Dunn? Mr. McLeod? Mr. Petrosi? Mr. Velardo? Mr. Pareto?
Yes. Okay. We have a review of proposed policies. I'd like a call for a motion to take the policy off the table for district-wide safety policy. Mr. Velardo, second. Mr. Petrosi. Any questions? Judy?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Policy on the table.
Okay, so now I need to call a motion to adopt this policy. May I have a motion? Mr. Consemi, Mr. Bilson, second. Any questions? Judy, please.
Mr. Bilson?
Yes.
Mr. Consemi? Mrs. Dunn? Mr. McLeod? Mr. Petrosi? Mr. Velardo? Mr. Pareto?
Yes.
So adopted.
Okay. Okay, 801 is our public comment on non-agenda items. So we have, let's see here, looks like we have three speakers. Okay. All right, first up is Mr. Blaber, Mr. Lawrence Blaber. And again, to remind all you folks that are going to be speaking, you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Hello again, Board. This is a follow-up to a previous statement and an add-on based on what I heard today. I'm following up because last time I got the chance to speak regarding the voting process, I said what was going to be the plan regarding Mr. Petrosi. Since then, we've also had Mr. Capizzi step down. I have not heard anything. Mr. Bilson, I emailed you directly following making that statement. About 2 days later, I have not heard anything yet. I think it would be prudent to at least get the new thing out on the website or an article before it's time to for people to get their petitions in, at the very least. That's one. Two, I heard today about the declining enrollment. You have to understand that one tenet of business is a quality product is always in high demand. We are not a quality product. Within the real estate market, anybody will tell you, husbands ask about taxes, wives ask about district rankings. That's it. Nobody's there for you to explain why we rank this way, this is what happened, this is what we really are, my kids loved it here. Nobody's here for that. They look at the numbers and they go, I'm selling a 4-bedroom house right now in Williamsville for $400. I'm about to list it for $400. This is where we're at. We're losing people, and eventually we're going to have to start enacting things that actually make change and progress. They tell you about $1 spent on school district funding that actually makes change and progress equals about a $20 increase in the value of a home. So keep that in mind. And most importantly, I want you guys to understand, John Carter, one of these Malcolm Gladwell types on change and all of that, says change occurs when the fear of staying the same is greater than the fear of something new. We cannot keep going in this direction, or else we're gonna hit rock bottom at some point. Some of you may not be in the chair for it, but it will be part of your legacy if we do not start moving forward and making hard decisions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Mr. Michael Barksdale.
Good evening, all. I had prepared a speech or to share with you on this evening, but when Mr. Hamilton talked about Beleniva Bond, it took me back to the time when I attended a award ceremony for her back in May of 1987. And attending that ceremony, a couple things came out that impacted my life. One of them was I actually got the autograph of Reverend Jesse Jackson, who recently passed. But the words that were shared on that evening impacted me and carried me forward. I didn't realize it'd be almost 40 years later that I'll be walking in those steps, pursuing similar tasks to what she was doing. I never imagined at that time that I would be involved in advocacy. But I'll say this, God has plans we don't understand. But with that, again, I want to level set, clear the air, and establish why I am here, what my intentions have been since December of 2023. Says, I stand before you tonight as a parent, a resident, and someone deeply committed to the future of our children and our city. My motives are fully transparent. Though they may differ from yours, as I've said before, my vision is for the Niagara Falls City School District to rise from the bottom 10% in New York State to the top 10% in New York State, and ultimately one of the top districts in the country. I come to you with respect and with honesty. One of the most serious challenges facing the district is not just low literacy and math rates, complicated budgets, or disengagement from the community, it's silence. Silence when community members raise concerns. Silence that over more than 2 years of speaking here has never turned into a public acknowledgement that there is a problem. Instead, I've heard the argument that national tests are unfair to our students. That's not only incorrect, that is harmful. When our concerns go unaddressed, intentionally or not, it signals that our voices don't matter. That perception is dangerous, but let me be clear about what many of us see. Persistent literacy and math challenges that impact students' futures. Budget documents that are so complex that only the most hyper-engaged parents can understand them. I understand them because I spent over 35 years in government, corporate, and nonprofit environments. But most parents don't understand most parents shouldn't have to become experts to understand where the money goes. The consequences of educational failure extend beyond the school walls. It shows up in the workforce gaps. Even board members in non-public settings have said they struggle to find qualified employees to work at their businesses. It shows up in community safety issues. That means crime. Education is the front door to opportunity. We're not seeking conflict, but clarity, transparency, true partnership. We want public academic goals and scorecards that are clear and measurable so that we can see what is going on. This city is full of assets just waiting to help. We have churches, nonprofits, mentors, retired educators, and business leaders. But partnership requires openness and honest dialogue. Tonight, I urge this board to see our advocacy for what it is. It's an investment in our children. And in this district, we're not against you. We believe every child in Niagara Falls deserves literacy and math proficiency. Leadership is not only about making decisions, it's about listening. We are ready to partner with you again and create real change. Let me end by being clear. I want to see Niagara Falls City School District in the top 10% in the state. As Mr. Blaber alluded to, we want it to be a district that people want to bring their children here. People will want to move. We want it to be desirable. I believe that can happen, and again, we're here to partner with you. We gave you
Mr.
a
Barksdale,
plan.
can you finish up, sir?
Yes, sir, thank you. We gave you a plan in October of 2024. It is so structured and so detailed. Look over it again and see how we can implement it and make those changes so we can shift in the next 3 to 5 years. I thank you for the extra time, Mr. Perrell.
Well,
Can I just say something real quick? Mr. Barksdale, I appreciate your commentary, but I think I'd be remiss if I didn't mention one item that you talked about in there. Congratulations on the success that you've had in your career. But I think to assume that the wonderful parents and families that we have in the district, in your words, aren't capable of understanding our budget, I think is disrespectful to the public. So I just wanted to call that out because we have a high level of respect for the community. I think they're all very hardworking, intelligent, and smart. And we definitely don't shortchange them. And I think that your commentary might have done that unintentionally or intentionally. So I just wanted to make sure that the community knows we appreciate them. And we know that they're able to comprehend everything that we talk about.
I have another speaker. Let me have another speaker. Let's finish the speaker and then maybe we can talk about after. But I'd like to get this other speaker.
I did want to clarify, it says the difference between the average parent and a hyper-engaged. It's a level of understanding. And I'm speaking from the parents that I've engaged with. So it's not the district. This is what I'm talking about. This is highly disrespectful. Lack of professionalism.
Okay, sir, please. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Dr. Tina Schultz.
Yes, I'm going to say good evening, Niagara Community Information Group, Niagara Falls, New York. Dr. Tina Schultz. I'm going to say this before I even get started. If you're talking about respect, it was very disrespectful for you, Mr. McLeod, to say about Mr. Labor when he finished speaking. He always says that. I'm sitting right there. Okay.
Okay, we're not here to engage the board.
I know that, but if we're going to talk about respect, that I
would
from
just-
this way.
I would just like to hear what you have to say.
So, okay. Anyway. So I'm only here because I'm here to speak on behalf of the community who keep saying they have not been heard and are not being heard, especially with regard to the choosing of a superintendent. Last month, there was a discussion about Dr. Robert Utter, who was called the outsider, who was chosen by the district way back in 78, 79. Dr. Utter was known to be a very brusque, business-like man. And this is research. I'm not just saying I did the research and not present it. This is the research. It is from Ms. Eileen Reed from the Metro Courier Express, an article dated January 10th, 1982. That is the research. I'm not coming here talking from the top of my head or talking from my feelings. It is documented information, and that's what we always teach our students to do. Document the information, present it as your support. I don't want to hear anyone's opinion. This is documentation. The board back then voted 6-3 to hire him in January of 1978 for a 4.5-year contract. They extended it in 1979 for another 1.5 years because he was doing good work every year. They did not require that he do an evaluation because he was doing good work, and that was indicated by the fact that they gave him raises every year. The last 4 months of his tenure, the board overrode Dr. Utter's recommendation that 2 district employees, including one of the members of the superintendent's cabinet, be fired. He had a reason. The board did not agree, and then Dr. Utter said, quote, "If the Board of Education is not satisfied with my performance, then it should be okay, reach an agreement with me to leave the district," and that's what he did. Dr. Utter resigned. It's not elaborated further, but others from the board community said the differences between the board and Dr. Utter was the reason for the resignation. Mr. King, who was quoted last month, said that Dr. Utter was brought in as a house cleaner after Kalfas's tenure, which was an unpopular task that needed a strong hand. He had to come and clean up. It appealed to the public, but when it affected the public, it began to backfire. The public wanted him to come in and clean house, but when he actually started doing that, that was a problem. Blaniva Bond agreed with Mr. King, saying, "Before coming on the board, I had never heard any criticism of Dr. Utter, his performance, and his ability to do the job. No one criticized him." Mrs. Bond went on to say that this is the kind of loyalty that these people in Niagara Falls have with hiring local people. They don't care if the local person can do the job. They don't care. The best thing that could have happened to the system was to bring in an outsider when Kalfas stepped down. She said and that's what the Niagara Falls community is now.
Dr. Schultz, can you tie it up?
Albert Shilley served as the assistant superintendent, and he also said that Mr. Utter was good for the Niagara Falls schools, but from an educational point of view, the district was lucky to have him. And those close to the board said the same thing. Almost none of those people interviewed in this research questioned his background or his ability as an educator. And Mrs. Bond talked of Utter's style, which is quite different from his predecessor. It wasn't his style to be social, Mrs. Bond said. It wasn't his style.
Dr. Schultz, please, could you finish
I'll
up?
finish up, yes. It wasn't his job, it wasn't required, it was what he was hired to do. So that's what we're saying. The community wanted to be heard. They were not, so they're going to keep speaking through NSIG and anyone else. They needed to be heard, that they wanted to be someone to listen when it came to making the decision about the superintendent choice. Thank you.
Excuse me. Okay, that leaves us with 802, the superintendent's report.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you for the commentary on Bleneva Bond. I really appreciate those comments, and I know that she's with us in our spirit of moving forward, working hard, having civil discourse, and I'm glad that we were able to cap the month with that presentation, so thank you very much. I would also like to say that in their own way, and this is not to exclude any of the other board members, but I'd also like to say Clara Dunn and Earl Bass stand on the shoulders of Bleneva Bond. And I couldn't be more pleased to have been associated with those two black individuals, first as a parent and then to become a member of the school board. I know you stand on her shoulders, and I know Mr. Bass does as well. So congratulations to you and Earl, not to, again, no disrespect to the other board members, but you have done something that is significant, as has Earl. I'm proud to know you. I'm proud that Earl was a student of mine, and I'm proud that you were the first parent that I worked with in this school quality council, and that you've ascended to this seat in the board. So congratulations for your work and Earl's work, and I guess it should be said more often, but especially in Black History Month when we conclude that, and I just wanted to make sure that we pointed that out. We're talking about culture tonight. I just want to also recognize what makes this district great are the number of students that are currently celebrating Ramadan. And I want to wish them the best in their celebration and respect their culture. Those students make our district stronger and better as well. So to those that are celebrating Ramadan, I know they make sacrifices to come to school every day. I know they have very strict rituals and routines, yet they show up every day. They show our students who they are and help us understand the world in a better way. So while we're speaking about culture this evening, I wanted to also recognize our students celebrating Ramadan. I'm pleased to say, staying along the lines of social emotional support, that our Sleep in Heavenly Peace objective of getting beds to kids just hit 101 beds delivered to our students in the community, which I think has really been a help to our children who need that support, as well as thanking Feed More, Buffalo Bills, who again will sponsor next year backpack and food pantry programs. They've already made that commitment to us. And finally, in the realm of social emotional work, I want to tell everybody there is a Say Yes Saturday Academy. We have now had 9 Saturday academies across the district. I saw Mr. McLeod enjoying one with his beautiful daughter this past weekend, and she was into every station, by the way. She was into every station. I just wanted to point out, multiple stations. I just wanted to point out that we have had in the 9 Saturday academies, we have had 1,296 students and parents. That's an individual unduplicated count come through out of our 6,500 students. So 1,296 students have experienced a Say Yes Academy on Saturday, and I'm asking you, don't miss the one at Cataract this Saturday. It's pretty great fun learning, and we're really proud of that. There's about 6 more to go after that. I also am pleased to tell you that on Tuesday at the high school, we'll have a major announcement for our endowment fund for tuition paying of students. We're receiving a $500,000 check from an organization, Key Bank, I'll say it before the announcement comes up, on our quest to make sure that we can provide financial support to every student at Niagara Falls High School who needs it. Moving into athletics, right now, and I don't want to look at my phone, I don't want to know, but right now, our girls just finished playing their sectional game. Our girls basketball team were the co-league champions this year, 14-3. And it's been a while since we've had a female team 14-3 and win the championship. Really proud of Coach Scarborough and the girls. They did it because they work all year, as do our boys. And our boys are competing at 8:30 tonight at Buffalo State in their sectional game. So good luck to them. Also want to wish Cam Crumpler and Caden Fagan the best. There are two wrestlers that are going to the state championship, and they're getting closer and closer to a state champion. They are great, and this is a really great young man. I wanted to just, I wanted to highlight, what I'd like to do is start to begin to highlight two schools, and Mr. Zimmerman, you're here, and you're going to get one of the highlights of, I'm going to highlight three schools academically that I'm proud of this week, and we'll come back on the 12th and do a couple more schools. I wanted to highlight 79th Street School. 79th Street School has now moved off the school improvement list completely. Congratulations to the staff, students, families of 79th Street School. I next want to congratulate Mr. Zimmerman and his team at Gaskill. Remember, a TSI or a targeted school doesn't mean the whole school is failing. It means that within the school, there are different cells or groups of students that are not making progress. And that's a terrible misnomer. And kids are saying to me, why would they say that about me? I'm not failing, I'm making growth. Well, Mr. Zimmerman and your staff, I wanted to congratulate you. First of all, I want to tell you this. I'm looking at the data on Gaskill. Gaskill's attendance is improving by almost 5% year to year. Almost 5% improvement from last year to this year. And I think this is quite amazing that the attendance for the black students at Gaskill is up to 89%. And not to compare black-white, but our white student attendance is at 85%. 88%, I should say, to 85%. So great job with attendance over there at Gaskill. Now, the correlation is, and your status in terms of targeted schools, I want to just tell you. And remember, to get off that list, you have to do it for 3 years, so it can't be an anomaly. But you're on your way, Gaskill. Listen to this. Every group, except for one, made academic progress. Our Asian group, our economically disadvantaged group, our white group, our students with disabilities came and made adequate yearly progress last year. Our black students made adequate yearly progress at Gaskill last year. Our multiracial students made adequate yearly progress. Gaskill is down to one cell. It is the Hispanic cell. And I'm not calling them out, but we know our Hispanic students have had a very trauma-filled time. For many reasons that I'm not going to get into here. Many of them are not coming to school. They're our lowest attending students. I just wanted to say congratulations, Gaskill. You got 1 year in the book. Let's get year 2 and 3 and we will work. Just so you have a context of what that is, that's 19 Hispanic students at Gaskill. Was it 19? It was 19 years it was looked at. Yeah, it's moved to 44? Up to 44. Okay. Yeah. Already, so this year has already shown. Yeah. Gaskill is coming and coming and coming. It's attributable to great students, good parents, great teachers, and an outstanding leadership team. So I wanted to call you 79th out and Gaskill out tonight because you're sitting here, and of course everybody. I'm going to do this for each school every meeting now. I also wanted to do Niagara Falls High School tonight. And I wanted to do them in terms of graduation rate, because that's ultimately the goal, right? Graduation rate. I wanted to do it in terms of graduation rate and dropout rate. The Niagara Falls High School graduation rate for those students who attend Niagara Falls High School is 86%. It's not where it needs to be. We got work to do, but 86%. has risen from 67% in the last 8 years. When you go to the students that are outside the district, of course, it drops to 84%, giving us an overall graduation rate of 85%. Again, looking at the different cells, our graduation rate for black students at Niagara Falls High School is 89%, and our graduation rate for white students is 83%. Finally, I look at dropouts, which at one time, 8 years ago, was 25% in the district. It is now 6%. And I am pleased to tell you that the lowest dropout rate among students at Niagara Falls High School are black students at 4%, white students, unfortunately, at 8%. Our homeless population has a 12% dropout rate, and so we have some work to do there. These are statistics that are current. These are facts. These are off the New York State report card. These are current. These are not the end of where we need to be. I agree with that, but these are starting to show progress. Next time I'd like to highlight Cataract and Hyde Park, which you'll see similar trends moving forward. And we're not going to rest on those laurels. We won't rest on those laurels. I know that is a prime focus of this gentleman right here, Mr. Wooten, who knows this and knows how to move those probably better than I was able to do. So I'm really, really excited about the future and the plans that you have to do that. I will conclude by saying this to the students. You hear that you're doing, I'm not lying to you, keep it up. We're with you, we're with you. Keep it up. You're doing better, we're getting better. Dispel that notion of those outside of our city, and sometimes inside of our city, who say you can't do it. You can do it, and we believe in you. I will, Mr. Pareto and members of the board, ask for an executive session at the conclusion of the roundtable, and I'll read the reasons at that time if that's okay, and you get into. So thank you very much. Let's keep going. Let's make sure the weather stays well, so we don't have to look at those dreaded snow days, of which we have only one left. So stay warm and healthy. Huh? You remember that, that's right. Don't hold those timeouts, that's right. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, I'm going to go around the table and then I will ask for a motion. Okay, we'll start with Mr. Velardo, sir.
Yeah, I just want to commend Stan on his achievement at the high school. So there's a direct correlation here between kids succeeding in attendance. That's what it appears to be.
I think there is.
Statistics. And you did a great job getting the kids there so that they can learn. And that's all I have.
Mr. Petrozzi, sir.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Nick, and keep up the good work, everybody.
Mr. Consemi.
Been a very interesting night. Thank you, for doing such a wonderful job in that presentation and getting our academics and technology together and being the first one in New York State. That's amazing. Thank you. I think I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Yeah, I forgot to mention something. I want to thank Mr. Hamilton for his speech on Benito Ben. And I didn't know her. I was around at the time, but I never got the good fortune to meet her. But since the school has been named in her name, I don't think many of the kids, and say, as time goes on, people tend to forget and their reputations fade. I think it'd be a good idea, and it wasn't mine, it was somebody else that had it, that we should give the kids and parents just a brief bio when they attend the school so they know who she is and keep her memory going.
I think that's an excellent idea. Ken and I have had that same conversation about that, and also about her mantra of service, and making that a school that really revolves around the theme of service. So I will do that, Mr. Velardo, and I know the school will appreciate it. Make sure that each teacher does that with the students and the parents. I think it's a great idea.
Okay, Mr. Bass, are you there, sir?
I'm here.
Go ahead, sir.
I don't have much to say other than since I didn't actually officially get to chance to say it, but happy Black History Month. And thank you, Kenny, for more information on Ms. Bond. I appreciate that, and I did hear what everyone said. So thank you.
Okay, Mr. McLeod.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Hamilton, thank you for your speaking today. My wife is a teacher at Bleneva Bond. She's been there for 10 years. She's had the chance to leave. She's chosen not to. She's chosen to be a part of that community, and I'm pretty proud of her for that. I actually want to thank all of our speakers today. A lot of passion in this room. There's a lot of emotions in this room, and that's not a bad thing, right? My goal when I come here is not to insult people. I'm vested in this community. I'm one of the younger members here. I see the future, and I see that there's some issues moving forward. Absolutely, I recognize that. But I would say this: outside doesn't always mean change. And I do believe that there are plenty of assets in this community, absolutely. But you don't need my approval to put them in motion, right? I think the community needs to step up a little more in every corner of our community and start to take care of the kids, start to take care of themselves. And we can move this thing forward, absolutely. But the emotions, I respect that. It's a good thing. Let's do it together, absolutely. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Mrs. Dunn.
I just want to say I'm glad that we're mentioning the good in every school because just like you said, some kids are saying, why are they saying things about my school when I know I'm doing the best? And last Saturday was a very nice Black History program put on by the Highland Avenue Block Club, and board members attended, and our superintendent received an award. And it's not about being black or white. Black history to me is every day. Black excellence is every day. And Mr. Laurie, whether you're white, whether you're black, blue, or green, I think you deserve every award that's given to you. And they're not looking at your skin color. They're looking at what you do and your passion. You have passion for this community. It's in your heart. And I said to you at that history program that if you didn't like or love your job, you certainly don't show it. So I want to congratulate you, and I think you deserve every
Thank you.
award.
I appreciate those thoughts. Thank you. I do love this job too. I do. Thank you.
Mr. Bilson.
That's a tough act to follow, Clara. Ooh. Mr. Hamilton, thank you. I was trying to think of the words to express how I feel about you when you speak as a lead singer, wannabe musician. The way that you tell stories is so eloquent, and it just I just wanted to give you that compliment because I get engaged when you're speaking every time you come and talk. I ran into you once at Office Max. It was a nice check-in. You probably don't remember. I remember, but thank you for that. That was fantastic, and you can tell. Even whether it was the last time you were at Miss Bond's house, absorbing as much information as you could, or through all the times that you got to spend with her, you could tell it definitely made an impact in your life. So thanks for sharing that with us. I appreciate it. Great presentation, Ray and your team, as always. I forgot what number we're on for budgets, but but Marcasia and Miss Jacqueline, good job. A lot of work still to be done, but we'll get through it. So, good job, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Okay. Well, thank you to all the speakers today. Mr. Hamilton, I've known you for a little bit now. I remember when you worked at DuPont. I was running fiber optic cable into the area you were in. And that's when I met you, and that's when I met how powerful of a speaker you are. And then you told a few jokes. And they were good jokes. They were clean, they were good jokes. But I'll never forget the first time I met you. I'm glad you came to share those thoughts with us about Boniva Bond. I did not know her. My mom did know her, though. Excuse me, I'm a little hoarse. But wonderful lady. And as I do more, as we do more going towards, I like the idea of making sure that all the students, when they approach that school or get into the school, that they have a bio, that their families know that the reason that wonderful school with the now wonderful greenhouse in front of it is the wave of the future. Our schools are all going to look like that sooner or later. And the fact that that school is named after that wonderful lady is, I'm very proud to help put that type of ideas into motion. But I'd like to address the local people we have in this district, the administrators, the principals, former principals, and the folks that are working on our staff. Some of our reasoning for bringing on Mr. Woden as the new superintendent of school is the fact that this man is a local product. He knows what our weaknesses are. He had a very detailed plan. And that plan was something of beauty, and it was concise. And that's the reason why some of us chose him, at least most of us did. And, he's gonna know he's got some work to do ahead of him. But I will tell you as a board member that I'm very, very proud and glad that we go to local people. And this will also, when we show pictures of people of success in our schools that we have athletes, we have people that were in the service, we've had educators, doctors. These folks here that work their tails off every day, starting with the teachers doing the massive lesson plans, all the extra stuff we give them, the technology that we now give them that is cutting edge, and we try to stay ahead of the curve. Are we perfect? No. Do we have perfect graduation rate? No. We have work to do. But together, we have to reach that goal, and I feel we will. No matter if we have to get more creative with our funding to get this done. But we will do this, and I'm proud to be a board member. We take a lot of heat, and hey, that's what goes with the job. But I'll tell you this, we try to go with a local product. It may not have made some of you folks happy, but I think when you give this man a chance and give his group a chance, his staff that he's going to assemble a chance, we're going to take some of the brightest minds in Niagara Falls, open those minds up and ideas with our excellent parents that we have and our community people and our folks from the churches. We are going to build something that's going to be amazing. And I really believe that. So that's why we made that local choice and we interviewed local folks, okay? Because we wanted this community, so you know that this man or the next man is running this place or woman is running this place or part of the staff and part of the solution. That's why. Anyways, go Niagara Falls Wolverines. Let's win a state championship and anything we can get, all right? And thanks for our staff, do all the hard work they do, getting this budget together and making numbers. And thanks for the technology end. And in that, I will pass the mic over to Mr. Stan Woden.
Mr. Pareto, thank you, and members of the board and community, and the overwhelming support and confidence and compliments that I've received have been motivating. I'm truly honored, and I look forward to continuing the great things that are happening. I look forward to moving our district to great things to come. And in the very near future, you all hear about plans. Along the way, though, there is a time where there'll be some listening, because as mentioned, there will be a team, but part of that team is the community. And we'll listen, we'll learn, we'll share what the next steps are, we'll move forward together. I have two quick notes that I'd like to mention. First, recently at Niagara Falls High School, Gaskill, LaSalle Prep, there has been a number of students, whether it is honor roll, commendable achievement, high honors, that were celebrated. Want to acknowledge those students after Q2. And additionally, we heard a number of wonderful names and celebrations that have taken place for Black History Month. I also want to piggyback off of the wonderful things the superintendent said about Say Yes. One of our pillars for Say Yes is our Boys and Men of Color program. We've recently hired a young man that is going to be doing wonderful things at our secondary schools. I'll recommend to the superintendent and ultimately to the board that in the near future, we have that gentleman come and present to all of us, Mr. Nathan Webster. But again, I appreciate your kind words, Mr. Pareto. I appreciate the support of the board, and looking forward to moving our district forward for years to come.
Okay, we have an executive session. Mr. Laurie, would you like to read the?
Sure. There's not going to be any voting that will take place after this executive session, and I'm going to read 3 reasons that are permissible under executive session rules and laws. We need to speak about 5 contracts that are governed under the collective bargaining provision of the Taylor Law. I have to speak about 3 cases that could involve the discipline or dismissal of an individual, and 4 cases that will involve the promotion or appointment of individuals. Those are permissible under the executive session laws. There will be no action taken after that, and that's the reason I'm asking for an executive session at this time.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion for executive session. Mr. Velardo, second. Oh, sorry, Mrs. Dunn, you were second. We'll switch it. Mrs. Dunn made it, and Mr. Velardo seconded. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Okay, no no's, motion carried. Oh, hold it, folks, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. That's just a motion.